I live in New York City, but not a single one of the 20 Airbnbs I manage are here. The closest one is actually hundreds of miles away, and over the past half decade, I built a remote management operation that runs the 20 properties while I live in a different state. And today, I'm breaking it all down for you, the exact software, systems, and team structure that let me run this operation smooth. So whether you're already hosting and want to free up your time, or you're dreaming of buying or managing out of state but feel intimidated, this video is for you. Guys, why does this even matter? Well, when I first started, I thought I had to live close to every single one of the properties. That first guest, I actually went and I physically handed them the keys. And then I only launched new properties in that area. But after a while, life changed. I had personal stuff going on and I couldn't be there anymore. So I got forced into having to figure out how to do remote management. And then once I was able to figure it out, I was like, well, I don't even, necessarily want to do properties in that specific place anymore because we've got a big world, big country, and I was interested in growing the operation elsewhere. I built out this system, which has allowed myself to be remote, to free up my time. However, I'm not the only one. This system has been used by dozens of people in our mastermind to launch hundreds of remote properties. Like, for example, Ryan from Montreal, who manages 23 properties that are in Florida from Canada, his home. Or Dylan from New York City. He manages 10 properties now in a state that he had never even been to. Or Lori, who built her entire portfolio, not out of state, but also out of country. She also, the Canadians, for whatever reason, love Florida, has built her property management business from Canada, located in the state of Florida. So guys, if they can do it, you can do it too. Even if you plan to stay, local, these systems will still save you headaches, time, and allow you to actually enjoy your business. First things first, the actual property setup. If you get this right, everything else gets easier. Are you buying or managing? If you're buying, please do your homework up front. I use B&B Calc for every deal I do, and I recommend it as it's the premier tool for analyzing short-term rental and rental deals and then building branded reports to share with investors, business partners, or potentially homeowner clients. I've helped build this tool over the last several years, and if you want to check that out for yourself, there's a 7-day free trial. You want to know your numbers on the upfront, and then you want to, furnish the property. Maybe the property's already furnished, maybe you're furnishing, but you're going to want durable furniture, because if you have good, solid, durable furniture, doesn't mean breaking the bank, but then you're not going to have to change things out all the time. Don't overspend. I'm not saying buy expensive, but just make sure you're getting things, with good reviews where people say they've lasted years. You're going to want to stress test everything. You guys are going to want to check every switch, flush every toilet. You're going to want to make sure guests don't surprise you with things that you can easily fix yourself. So guys, whenever you get a new property, there's generally going to be, a couple things wrong with it. It's natural, nothing like necessarily huge, but you want to act like you're going to be the first guest there. When you're setting up the properties, guys, I really loved redundancy. For example, I only get Roku TVs. I don't get any other. I'm not going to get a Roku, then a Samsung, then a lot of these LG, HDL, they can also be Rokus. So regardless, just get the same type of TV with the same remote. So I get only Roku TVs, so then I can have backup remotes. And you're going to want to keep these backup remotes as well as extra supplies in your owner's closet. Some folk do storage units. I try when possible to have an owner's closet in each property. I have the things we're using in the house, then we have a lot of backups, sheets, towels, things like that in the owner's closet in case you need extras or certain things get damaged. At first, I set up properties myself, tried to have redundancy for everything. I mean, obviously, there's certain things you can't get two of. You don't need to get 2 bed frames, nothing like that. You don't have to get extra mattresses, but extra sheets, towels, some extra cutlery, a few extra cups, things like that. Just good to have backups on hand. Now, guys, I'm able to honestly do the entire setup of properties remotely, and that's because I've train my local team on the process. So I think you should be there for your first few. Once you nail it, you can potentially replicate the process with a local team member with your eyes closed. Not only are you gonna want redundancy, but there's so many lists online, honestly, of things that you should have in your listing. I recommend, frankly, just go through Airbnb's amenities list. Just make sure you have all the essentials. If you can have a pack and play, that's gonna help you get booked by more guests. So this kind of brings you into the listing and pricing. Once the property is set up, you're gonna wanna list it the right way. Guys, professional photos are non-negotiable. iPhone photos, Android, they don't cut it. All right. They're not going to cut it. It's 2025. Those days are gone. So you guys, you're going to want to highlight the right moments, the fire pits, hot tubs, the sunsets, the decks, You're going to want to highlight the things that guests emotionally connect with. If you have a condo and have none of those things, maybe it's your proximity. Regardless, whatever the value proposition of your property is, you're going to want to put that front and center. List the property on Airbnb and VRBO, other websites, booking.com, you want to put them all. Maybe you want to do a direct booking site. But ultimately, you're going to want a property management system. My go-to is Hospitable. I've used it for over 5 years. What a PMS is a property management system, and it lets you sync all of your booking channels into a unified calendar. Why does that matter? Well, if you have to go to Airbnb to check the calendar, Vrbo, Booking, that can be a huge nuisance. Simple, highest level, you want all your calendars integrated in one unified calendar. Then you're going to want to automate your guest messaging. So you're going to want to make sure that they have all the check-in information, they have checkout reminders, as well as potentially vetting questions on the upfront. Do not use Airbnb Smart Pricing. I see a lot of people doing that. You're going to want to use a dynamic pricing tool like Wheelhouse or PriceLab. These tools help ensure that you're charging the right amount every night. You shouldn't be pricing every night the exact same. There's going to be specific nights that are higher, specific that are lower. Once bookings start rolling in, guests need to get into the property smoothly. Keys can cause headaches. They get lost, maybe copied, guests get locked out. So I use Schlage Encode Smart Locks. They integrate with Hospitable, so every guest gets a unique code automatically. You can even see the battery levels from the dashboard, which is pretty neat. That's a new feature. For security, I recommend Ring cameras facing the driveway or out of the front door. There's other cameras, but Ring is the one that I personally use. Cameras are great for verifying package deliveries, monitoring vendor arrivals, and just giving you peace of mind without invading guest privacy. Cleaning and maintenance. So guys, your cleaners are really your most valuable players. For finding them, I use Turno or local Facebook groups. In urban areas, Google and Thumbtack can work too. Referrals are great from other hosts. You're going to want to look for cleaners that are experienced with short-term rentals. They understand same-day fast turnarounds and guest expectation. Once you have cleaners, you're going to want to add them to your property management software so they can see the calendar and they're not asking you every day when your bookings are. You're going to want your cleaners to send photos before their cleans, which is after a guest stay, and then photos after every clean. This protects you from false guest claims and holds the cleaners accountable. Over time, you're going to want to build a cleaning checklist with photos, tasks, things like that. And also, it's a plus if your cleaners can handle minor maintenance fixes, but oftentimes you're going to need a handyman on call for bigger issues. But then for specialized repairs, plumbing, electrical, Thumbtack and Google are going to be your best friend. So now for supplies and restocking. When guests or cleaners flag that supplies are low, delivery services make restocking relatively easy. Honestly, I wouldn't take on a property today that doesn't have Walmart or Amazon same day or next day delivery. You're going to want to keep a locked owner's closet stocked with extras, toilet paper, linens, batteries, remotes, even pool cues. When things run low, you're going to want to reorder in bulk. Bookkeeping and tracking. Now, every property has expenses. Don't let them get messy. For co-hosting or property management, I use spreadsheets with monthly reports that my virtual assistants help generate. For owned properties, I use QuickBooks. But spreadsheets work when you're starting. The key is to track everything. Even with all this automation, messaging guests, ordering supplies, and coordinating cleaners can still eat up your time. And that's when you bring in virtual assistants. Hire when you notice there are digital tasks that aren't the best use of your time anymore. This might be, after a few properties. If they're bigger properties that are generating a lot of revenue, it might be after a couple. If it's smaller properties, it might be after 5 or so. So virtual assistants can handle guest communication, cleaner or vendor coordination, ordering supplies, data entry, and bookkeeping. How do you actually find virtual assistants? I use Online Jobs PH to hire. My rule is hire fast, fire fast. Don't wait for the perfect candidate. You're going to want to hire, test, and move on if it's not working. But ultimately, you're going to want your virtual assistants and your local teams in sync. That's really how you get to, let's call it 99% automation. So I use WhatsApp for this. We do group chats, and I use LastPass for like software login control. So my virtual assistants are going to document their own standard operating procedures for every task they take on. This makes onboarding new team members super smooth. With strong standard operating procedures, your business can run about 90% plus automation, maybe 95. But guys, it should never be 100%. It shouldn't. I don't think, to be honest, a hospitality business, which is ultimately what this is you should ever think it's going to be 100% passive. You know why? Because caring about your team and your guest experience is what keeps you successful long term. Hospitality is people having a great time and enjoying their experiences. So you, as the leader of the operation, leader of the business, should care that people are having the best experiences possible and should strive to continuously improve that experience. That's the system I use to run 20 Airbnbs remotely, and it took years to build, but you don't have to start from scratch. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway, and check out my other videos for more Airbnb investing or property management strategies. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.